The rain pounded relentlessly against the windows, a constant reminder of nature's fury. Little did Emily know that this stormy night would change her life forever. For 3 days, the small town of Brooksville had been battered by an unrelenting downpour. What began as a gentle drizzle had transformed into a raging storm, swallowing streets and bending trees to its will. The once peaceful river that meandered through town had become a roaring beast, carrying debris and destruction in its wake. Emily Carter, a 30-year-old schoolteacher, stood by her kitchen window, watching the sheets of rain hammer against the glass. She had grown up in Brooksville, weathering many storms, but nothing like this. The house shuddered with each thunderclap, and the lights flickered ominously. Her loyal black Labrador, Max, whined softly and pressed against her leg, seeking comfort. The radio crackled with urgent warnings. Stay indoors. Avoid floodwaters at all costs. Dangerous currents. Do not attempt to walk or drive through flooded areas. Emily knew the situation was dire, but as she stood there, its tone pierced through the storm's cacophony, a sound she couldn't ignore. At first, it was faint, almost drowned out by the thunder and rain. But then it came again, a sharp, high-pitched yelp. Emily's heart skipped a beat. Max's ears perked up, his tail stiffening as he barked towards the sound. Cautiously, Emily opened the door. The storm's wind immediately slapped her face with cold rain, but the sound was clearer now, whimpering, crying, puppies. Against her better judgment, Emily grabbed her raincoat, flashlight, and a length of rope she kept for emergencies. The logical part of her brain screamed to stay inside, but as another desperate yelp cut through the air, her feet moved of their own accord. The world outside was chaos incarnate. The familiar street she walked to school every morning had transformed into a raging river. Trash cans bobbed like bizarre boats, and water swirled angrily around tree trunks. Emily's boots sank into the muddy current as she fought her way towards the source of the cries. "Please let me be wrong," she whispered, though deep down she knew she wasn't. The cries led her to an abandoned lot near the riverbank. Her flashlight beam cut through the rain, revealing a heart-wrenching sight. 6 golden retriever puppies, tiny, soaked, and trembling, clung desperately to a patch of debris. It looked like part of a fallen fence, wedged precariously against a tree. The water lapped dangerously close, threatening to sweep them away with each surge. Emily gasped. The puppies couldn't have been more than 6 or 7 weeks old. Their golden fur was plastered to their fragile bodies, their tiny paws scrambling for purchase on the slippery wood. Every few seconds, one would slip closer to the water's edge before frantically clawing its way back. Without hesitation, Emily tied one end of the rope around her waist and secured the other to a sturdy street lamp. She said a silent prayer that it would hold, then stepped into the deeper current. The frigid water hit her thighs, then her waist, its merciless grip trying to sweep her off balance. But Emily set her jaw, tightened her grip on the flashlight, and pushed forward. "Hang on, little ones," she called, though her voice was lost to the storm. When she reached the debris, the puppies barked weakly, as if sensing hope. One brave soul tried to crawl towards her, but nearly slipped into the torrent. Emily lunged, scooping it into her arms just in time. The tiny body shook violently, but it nuzzled into her chest, instinctively seeking warmth and safety. One at a time, Emily told herself, fashioning a makeshift sling from her raincoat pocket. She placed the first puppy carefully inside, then reached for the others. Her hands were numb from the cold, but adrenaline kept her moving. She grabbed a second, then a third. Each rescue felt like a battle. The puppies resisted, panicked by the water, their tiny claws scraping against her skin. By the time she had secured 4 of them, the debris shifted dangerously under the current's relentless assault. Emily's heart raced. The last 2 pups were clinging together at the edge, their cries weak, their strength visibly fading. "Come here, sweethearts," Emily pleaded, stretching out her arm. She nearly lost her balance as the current surged against her. Just as she thought she might slip, Max's bark from the bank gave her renewed courage. With a final push, she reached the 2 puppies and pulled them free from the collapsing debris. Now all 6 were pressed against her body, tiny whimpers vibrating against her soaked clothes. She turned, the rope tugging her back towards safety. Step by agonizing step, she pushed against the flood until, at last, she stumbled onto solid ground. Emily collapsed to her knees, the puppies still cradled against her chest. Tears mixed with the rain on her face as she whispered hoarsely, "They're safe. They're safe." Rushing home, Emily toweled the puppies dry, wrapped them in blankets, and placed hot water bottles near them for warmth. Max sniffed them curiously before lying down protectively beside their basket, as if understanding their ordeal. Throughout the night, Emily fed them warm milk with a syringe she had kept from Max's puppy days. At first they resisted, too exhausted to drink, but slowly, one by one, they began to swallow. Their tiny tails gave the faintest wags, and Emily felt her heart swell with relief. As morning broke, the storm had passed. The sun rose weakly over a battered town. Brooksville would take months to recover, but, for Emily, the sight of 6 puppies sleeping soundly was proof that hope could survive even the fiercest flood. News of her rescue spread quickly through the tight-knit community. Neighbors came to check on her, and soon everyone in town knew the story of the woman who braved the storm to save 6 helpless lives. Some offered to adopt the puppies once they were strong enough, while others brought food and supplies to help Emily care for them. Emily didn't care about the attention. What mattered to her was the soft chorus of puppy snores that filled her living room. Weeks passed, and the puppies grew stronger. Their golden fur fluffed out again, their eyes sparkled with mischief, and they filled Emily's home with playful chaos. She named them Sunny, Hope, River, Storm, Willow, and Grace, each name carrying a piece of the night they had been saved. Sunny was the brightest, always chasing after the light. Hope had been the weakest, but now bounced with energy. River and Storm were inseparable, wrestling and tumbling as though nothing could scare them anymore. Willow was gentle, often curling up beside Emily. When she graded her students' homework, Grace, the last puppy she had pulled from the water, seemed to follow her everywhere, as though she understood exactly what Emily had done for them. Emily eventually found loving homes for most of the puppies, with neighbors and friends who promised to cherish them. But she couldn't part with Grace. The bond between them was too deep, too unspoken. Grace stayed, growing into a beautiful golden retriever who never left Emily's side. Every time Emily looked at her, she remembered the night of the flood. She remembered the cold water, the fear, and the strength she hadn't known she possessed. And she remembered that sometimes, courage isn't about grand gestures. Sometimes it's about listening to a cry in the storm and choosing not to walk away. As Grace rested her head on Emily's lap, her warm brown eyes full of trust and love, Emily knew that her impulsive act of bravery had not only saved 6 lives, but it also changed her own forever. In the face of nature's fury, she had discovered a reservoir of strength within herself, and in saving those puppies, she had found a new purpose. The storm had reshaped Brooksville, but it had also reshaped Emily. She was no longer just a schoolteacher. She was a hero, a rescuer, and now a devoted dog mom. The experience had taught her that even in the darkest moments, there was always a chance to make a difference, to bring light and hope into the world. As she stroked Grace's soft fur, Emily smiled. The storm may have passed, but its impact would be felt for years to come. Not just in the rebuilt streets and homes of Brooksville, but in the wagging tails, wet noses, and unconditional love that now filled the lives of 6 families, including her own.